The Fir Audio E10. Let's talk about it. This is a single dynamic driver. This was sent to me via a HeadFi tour, not the water cooler tour, but a different, just general tour. I've been anticipating this IM for a great deal of time, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about it today. Now, the build quality of this IM is nice. I really like the shell. It reminds me a lot of a 64 Audio IEM. It just has a nice metallic shell. I like the raised flat 2-pin cable connector that it has. Its nozzle is small. It does have a changeable interface. Its red metallic look is really beautiful, and it fits well in my ear, so I have no problem with fit, and it's just a nice, beautiful IEM overall. The cable is really nice. It's a flat 2-pin cable connector. It has a nice chin slider. It's a 4.4 single termination cable. It feels nice in hand. It looks good. It's a solid product with no major issues. Its accessories are well done. It has a nice little puck style leatherette case with a good amount of ear tips. Overall, nice little IEM collection and no major problems with the accessories or build quality. Audio graph. Let's look at this thing. We have pretty decent channel matching, but overall its graph is a little bit interesting. I don't really like this graph. If you notice, its bass response is a little bit too lean in the sub bass, too much mid bass. Its mids dip. It also comes up piercing. That low scoop in the upper treble, and then its kind of air region is high. Its fatigue zone's really high. Even having it in ear for a couple minutes, it already gets me a little bit tired. It has a very interesting sound that I personally don't like. I wanted to show you a little bit of information on this IEM since we're in this section. This is the Fir Audio website. This is the E10, and it has an interesting feature that you can swap the face plates, which I think is really cool. I think the bass response is kind of good, but the bass response isn't always just in this region. It's oftentimes all part of the IEM. So it has some interesting qualities, some interesting features. It has a really nice connector and a nice shell and a lot of good qualities to it, but its overall sonic qualities aren't great. Now, there are other IEMs in the Fir collection that are pretty loved. I'm going to show you another reviewer's ranking list that most of you have heard of, but this is Bad Guy Good Audio Reviews, and you'll notice that the Fir Audio RN6 is actually really high. So on his ranking list, it's 4th, which is actually quite impressive considering the price of everything. That's it's a pretty reasonable set, all things considering. So if we look at that graph, you notice it has a pretty nice even kilter graph, and it looks overall pretty good. I wanted to compare this to a few other IEMs in that price category. The first one, Fir Audio is kind of a branch. They kind of branched off from 64 Audio. Someone correct me in the wrong, how I'm wrong in the comments. But another IEM that I would recommend, you can actually get a 64 Audio U4S for around $400 to $500. It has swappable modules. It has a lot of other good qualities about it. Its bass response is a little bit more even kilter. I think it's just overall a little bit of a better IEM if you want to try the U4S for a little bit cheaper. It also has that similar shell, which is a really cool shell, and I like that about Fir. I'm glad that they used that shell because it's amazing. Another one to look at is the velour. Now, these two are actually, they kind of are a lot different in price, but to be honest, after a certain point, you might as well go a little bit more expensive. I think the velour has a really nice sounding IEM. It sounds really good in ear, and to me, it's something that I would highly consider if that's something that you're after. Let's look at a few others. Another one I would really recommend, if it's a little bit cheaper, it's around $800, the Effect Audio X Elysian Acoustics Lab Pilgrim Noir. This is a really solid IEM for its price. It's a lot cheaper. It's a lot more flat. It's a lot more even kiltered. It's maybe even too flat for some, but for me, I would easily recommend the Noir or any of these other IEMs above that. Another one to think about, I saw a Diva the other day for around I want to say it was 900. Sometimes they did get to be on the used market. The Diva is a really class IM that's right around that, $1,000 to $1,200 price range. I personally would go with the Diva over the Fir Audio E10. I think even though they're the same in price doesn't always mean something, right? And that's really something important to know, that in this hobby, price isn't everything. So we look at a few others. This kind of reminds me a little bit of the Dita Project M, but I think the Dita Project M might be a little bit better. It is a little bit leaner. And so I didn't really like the Project M, but I think, if you're going to go for a nice build quality IM to EQ, it has some qualities about it that are not completely terrible. But if you look at the EM10 and look what's going on, look at that fatigue zone. Look how much fatigue extra is there in that 5 to 6K region. It also has a lot of upper air and treble, but it also has this upper vocal spike. So if you're looking at something that just has a lot of treble energy, the Dita Project M might be good. And I probably would go with that rather than the Fir Audio E10 if you're really looking for a treble set. And I mean, as far as build quality goes, they're both really good, well-built IMs. But, when you're talking about like a $1,200 IM versus, I want to say it's $350 is what the Dita's at right now, I think that's an easy win for most people. Another IM I wanted to show you, this reminded me of graph-wise, was the NDX12. Now, obviously the Fir Audio E10 is a better IM, but there's a lot of other choices that you can go with, and I think this might be a choice to consider if you're trying to save money and you want to try something with a little bit of a similar sonic profile. So it's just something to kind of note and to consider. Now let's rank this IEM up. It's an expensive IEM. I don't think it sounds very good, I'll be honest. Its bass response isn't bad. Its mids are almost tolerable, but its upper highs and overall detail retrieval just doesn't really work well for me. I think it has decent technicalities for what it is, but I personally just don't love this IEM, and so I personally can't recommend this to people. I probably would recommend demoing this IEM first before you buy it. But I mean, if you have it and you own it, hey, good for you. That's fine. The E10's not for me. It might be for you. And I just kind of want to remind you guys of my core philosophy on my channel. Please demo products when you can, when they're over a certain price. It's not really worth it for you guys to go out there and try things. I think with an IM like this, it just doesn't really sound very good in ear. It's not very neutral. It's just way too flavored. And I don't think a lot of people are going to like it. And that's kind of my overall problem with it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?